Can we take you live now to the American Priority Conference here in Washington to hear remarks from former Trump campaign advisor Roger Stone. He'll speak about the Mueller investigation and his role in it. This is live coverage on C-SPAN 3.
You know how I know? Because those same mainstream media were the ones that was telling us Donald Trump was 100% not going to be the 45th president of the United States of America. And I know, like many of you, you must have stopped watching the news because every day as it got closer and closer and closer, they were telling us that he was going to lose. They was telling us that he was going to fail. But I remember the day, and I get goosebumps to this day, when we was in New York, and we were watching the polls come in, and nobody didn't want to call it. But I remember the moment we won Florida, and I've got to travel all over the country. I've got to travel all over the nation, and I remember the president, as he was the Secret Service that was with him throughout the whole entire campaign. And the moment they called Florida, all of a sudden the Secret Service agents that was with us from the beginning began to shift out. And they began to see new men and new women take their places. Because I then realized that the people that were supporting the Republican nominee cannot support and protect the future president-elect of the United States of America. And right then, right there in New York, we begin to see the shifting of Secret Service agents, because now we weren't dealing with the president, we weren't dealing with the nominee, but we were dealing with the president-elect. And this is why our voice is so important, more than ever. Even now, liberals are trying to take God out of our Pledge of Allegiance. Have you heard that, America? They're trying to take God out of our Pledge of Allegiance. Matter of fact, they're sending children home right now with slips that are saying your child can opt out from saying the Pledge of Allegiance because it has God in it. And that's the kind of a future that liberals are trying to build for our country. But I want to tell you right now, before I get off this stage, that I, Mark Burns, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless you, America. God bless you. Come on, let me hear you shout yes. And if you're standing with our president, shout USA, USA. Shout it, USA, USA.
I could follow that. Are you guys pumped up? I see that we're all back from our break, and we've just been inspired by a wonderful, truly great man, Pastor Burns. I want to talk about somebody new that's going to come on the stage. This is a person that is my extreme pleasure to introduce, and he really needs no introduction. Long before the Make America Great Again movement started, one man had the vision and the foresight to see what America needed. And that was the President, Donald J. Trump. So please join me in welcoming Roger Stone. There he is. Roger Stone.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted to be with you today. And some of you may have seen that I appeared on ABC with George Stephanopoulos this past Sunday. And I said in that interview something that I have said previously for the last 2 years, many times on the public record. And that is, no matter what happens, I will not bear false witness against this president. I will not make up stories and lies in the effort to remove him. The next day, I was proud to see a tweet from the President of the United States who lauded me for my guts. Now, some in the mainstream media went immediately to a host of all liberal legal analysts who said that the president's tweet could constitute witness tampering. Absurd on the basis of the fact that I have said the exact same thing on the record on numerous forums for the last 2 years. In fact, I denied yet again on ABC that I had any advanced knowledge of the source or the content of the WikiLeaks disclosures, be they allegedly hacked emails or allegedly stolen emails, the exact same thing I said on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd almost a year ago, which got virtually no notice. I think most Americans now understand that the Russian collusion delusion is meant to be a distraction from the far more serious abuse of power in which the Obama administration used the authority and the capability of the state through the use of illegal and illicit FISA warrants to spy on Donald Trump's campaign for president and use the FBI to infiltrate the Trump campaign for the purposes of planting faux Russian collusion. It is also a diversion from the largest treasonous financial scandal in American history. That would be the crime of Uranium One. If people are looking for Russian collusion, they merely need to look at Bill and Hillary Clinton and their acceptance of $145 million from the Russian energy company, while the transfer of 20% of America's enriched uranium was on Hillary's desk for transfer to the Russians. Now, few Americans, I think, could withstand the kind of legal proctological examination that I have been under for the last 2.5 years. I now know, as the New York Times reported on January 20th, 2017, long before the appointment of Mr. Mueller as the special counsel, that I was among 3 advisors to Donald Trump, the candidate, under surveillance by the previous administration. Probable cause, I ask? No, this has been 2.5 years of hell. Not only was I under surveillance in 2016, but I also know that Mr. Mueller and his strike force have examined every aspect of my life, my personal life, my family life, my social life, my business life, my political life, my sex life. FBI agents have been seen rummaging through my garbage. My cleaning lady was interviewed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yet I ask this question: what does any of that have to do with Russian collusion? So we are at a point now where I'm sure many of you heard yesterday that I have elected to invoke my Fifth Amendment rights when it comes to the witch hunts being conducted by the Senate Intelligence and the Senate Judiciary Committees. Just for the record, I informed through my attorneys both of those committees that I would not be turning over 3 tractor-trailer loads of documents for them to root for, and I will not testify unless I am allowed to testify in public so the American people can hear every word. I insist upon this because I do not want to see a replay of my testimony before the House Intelligence Committee. I wanted that testimony to be in public, a right that I was denied. To this date, I am not even entitled to have a copy of the transcript of my testimony. And it is abundantly clear that while this investigation is not about Russian collusion, it's about perjury traps and trumped-up process crimes. Despite the partisan claims of Congressman Adam Schiff, a huckster and con man of the first magnitude, and others of his ilk, my submitted statement and testimony to the House Intelligence Committee was and is entirely accurate. I recently released text messages that absolutely establish that as I informed the committee, a now unemployed radio talk show host, Randy Credico, was my source regarding the significance and the October release of the WikiLeaks information, the existence of which Julian Assange himself had teased on CNN in June of 2016. Claims that I urged third parties to come forward to whom Mr. Credico had confirmed his role somehow constitute witness intimidation are ludicrous. Urging people to exercise their First Amendment rights and tell the truth in the face of a tsunami of lies being circulated and recycled by the MSNBCs of this world is a complete exercise of my First Amendment rights and a testimony to the truth. I also entirely reject contentions that Dr. Jerry Corsi, as suggested to him by prosecutors from the special counsel's office, that he was the source of any information pertaining to the WikiLeaks disclosures. In fact, Dr. Corsi's predictions regarding the WikiLeaks disclosures turned out to be entirely incorrect and the basis of speculation. My contention that Dr. Corsi briefed me on the Podesta brothers' lucrative business dealings in Ukraine and Russia prior to my iconic August 21st, 2016 tweet in which I said, let's get it right this time, the Podesta brothers' time in the barrel will come, is both accurate and entirely supported by email and text message records. The contention that the memo he subsequently gave me regarding the Podesta brothers' business dealings was written as some type of cover-up both defies logic and the written record. Cover-up of what? There was no controversy in the wake of my tweet for 6 weeks. There was no social media chatter. There was no media coverage. There was no Mueller investigation. There was no congressional investigation. There were no subpoenas. So cover up of what? Mr. Schiff and his colleagues are engaging in frivolous semantics, shifty word games, and non-material hair splitting in a shameless bid for partisan advantage. If Mr. Schiff has any proof whatsoever that I had advance notice of the source or the content of the allegedly hacked or stolen emails published by WikiLeaks, or that I received anything of the kind, I challenge him to produce it now or shut up. Just as in his previous claim to have seen substantial evidence of Russian collusion with the Trump campaign and producing none, the congressman is completely full of Schiff. I was extraordinarily proud of the president's tweet, but I am prouder still to stand with a president who is making America great again. 4.2 million new jobs, unemployment at the lowest point since 1969. African American and Hispanic unemployment at the lowest point since we began keeping those statistics. Wage growth at the greatest rate in American history. Redoing the giant multinational trade deals that have sucked the jobs out of America and doing individual trade deals with our trading partners where we both have mutual benefit. Securing our borders to make our streets and neighborhoods safe again. Now, about a week ago, I speculated that I believed it was possible that the president would choose not to run for re-election. And some in the media said, oh, well, are you saying that he won't be able to be reelected? Or are you saying that he's going to be run out of Washington? No. What I am saying is that if the last 2 years are as successful as the previous 2 years, if the president succeeds in continuing to turbocharge our economy, to secure our borders, to revitalize the American dream, to redo the trade agreements, he could walk away from the presidency, going down in history as one of the greatest presidents in our history. I have known Donald Trump for 40 years. He did not run for president to be someone. He ran for president to do something. I go back to an interview that he gave perhaps 30 years ago with Oprah Winfrey, in which she said, well, what about public office, Donald? Do you think you would ever run for president? And he said, no, I don't think so, unless things get so bad that I have no choice. This is a president whose presidency has cost him $2 billion. Unlike the Clintons and the Obamas, he is not getting rich off being president of the United States. He did not run for president because he wanted a bigger house. He already had a bigger house. He did not run for president because he wanted a bigger plane. He already had a bigger plane. No, given the slings and arrows of his opponents, given the attacks on him and his family day in and day out, this is not a man who needs the presidency for his own self-esteem. And therefore, I pray that he runs for re-election. I believe that he can be re-elected if the next 2 years are anything like the last 2 years. And I will be proud to stand with the president through thick and thin. Thank you, and God bless you.
Coming up shortly, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General